going to stop the recording.
So, good evening, everybody. It being 7:01 p.m., I will call the Addison County Regional Planning Commission regular meeting to order, Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. One slight amendment on the agenda. Prior to having our speaker make his presentation, we're going to have introductions of new delegates because we have quite a few here in the room. And I'll turn it over to Adam for coordinating that.
Okay, great. Well, why don't you turn immediately to your right and say hello to Melanie Sands from Middlebury.
Hi, everyone. Oh, good. You're
no.
gonna maybe say what I should say or what you need to know?
Just introduce yourself, say hello. That's all. Welcome.
Okay, great. I'm Melanie Sands, delegate from Middlebury. In my career life, I do social science research, and I think some topic areas relevant to some of the key areas of focus for this commission. I have a background in environmental science, public policy. I do some climate resilience work for the state of Vermont, and also have a background partially in economics. So really excited to be here, and also excited to get to know everyone better. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I'm Phil Pedlican. My exciting news for the week is I'm a grandfather for the first time on Monday, little girl named Violet. You will see wandering around here sooner than later. My daughter and her son and her husband live with us. I started building my house 3 years ago, and I moved in November. Everybody knows how long that takes. Up on K Street, if anybody was driving down there and saw the Landfair construction sign, that was me and the family. I do have, first of all, I'd like to say I'm honored to be chosen, and I'm a little surprised because when I went to the town select board meeting, I saw the competition. And there was a lot of very impressive people who put their names in for this. And so I wasn't sure whether I was going to get here or not, but I'm very pleased to be here. I have some relevant experience besides that. I work for Salesforce, a software company. That's not particularly relevant, but I have a PhD in public policy from George Mason University, where I studied with one of the nation's experts in regional planning, Stephen Fuller, who has since retired to me. And so I studied with him a whole series of examples, and he was, I wrote a whole series of papers for him on various things related, and that was my claim to fame to come here. I've sat on various boards before, raised my kids in Virginia, where I sat on boards that reported to the school board of Fairfax County, one of the 3 largest counties in the country. And I've been president of boards, I've been treasurer, I've been secretary. And to top it all off, I already sit on the Champlain Community Services Board out of Colchester. So I look forward to working with you all, meeting you all, getting to know you. I'm sure I'll have more stories about me, and I want to hear them about you guys as we go along.
Thank you. You, sir?
Ron Dentis, I've been here for a year.
I'm not here very often in person, so I apologize.
Shannon, you should join us more often.
I should. I will be now.
I think that's it for new members
Okay.
tonight, Shannon, unless
Super.
if somebody's on the screen and I'm missing you, please speak up, but I think that's everybody. So thank you.
Okay, that part being done, then I will turn it over to Jolien, unless you want to make an introduction.
Well, would you like me to make an introduction, or would you like to make an introduction,
I'll do
Cheryl?
it.
Okay, great.
So Jolien, as our the new energy planner, and filled in the shoes for Madison Shropshire, has been jumped right in and had the very formidable task of jumping into a plan and making updates to it, meeting with the energy committee monthly, and work through all of our comments on the paper, heard what we didn't like about it, heard what we did like about it. And Jolien has been great at, oh no, now we need to incorporate this, and there's the forest block, and just anticipating and working in all of the new requirements into the enhanced energy plan, so that we can then spread out to the municipal energy plans, and that will be our new template. So I doubt very much if Julian has stopped working on the plan because he's a tweaker. But we think that it's in a really good state, and I'm anxious to hear your presentation, Julian.
Perhaps it's a familiar premise to many in this room, but I like to tinker and, given until the 11th hour, I'll find a way to make it the 11th and a half. But a little bit about my background for those who haven't had a chance to meet me, new members of the commission. My name is Julian. Joel is also fine. It's a little easier to say. I did my bachelor's in political science at Hendrix College, my master's in public affairs at Indiana University, and my PhD in natural resources at the University of Vermont. And I came here after. So this is my first big boy job, if you will. But I've really enjoyed it so far. As Cheryl alluded to, there were quite a few tasks to step into and hit the ground running on, the regional plan being one, the municipal energy resilience program being another. But it's a very exciting energy space in the county right now. And I'm eager to continue to contribute. Without further ado, let's get started. Also, I didn't want to try to just read you a plan tonight because that didn't seem very helpful as well. So I'm going to try to present on some highlights, a little bit of the process, the steps that remain. And also I would like to get a distribution list at some point. Ideally, I can get that from you, Adam, so that I can send out the draft to y'all and give you a chance to reflect on it as well. And that will probably be the better format for looking for a close read, if you will. So now I will get started. So our previous plan was adopted in 2018. It was primarily, as far as I could ascertain, guided by statute. That's kind of the big upfront body of text at the beginning of the plan is these are the targets that we need to hit. These are the elements that need to be included, and focused very much on what had to be there. It included estimates on total energy consumption, renewable generation targets moving forward from 2018, transportation targets, heating targets.
Julian?
Yes.
Are you intending to share your
I
slides?
am intending to share my slides. Thankfully, we are still in the lead up of the, but yes, I am intending on doing that. Right. And, I'm not sure why.
We can see it on Zoom.
Okay, there's
That's
well,
right, it's
ignore the floating Zoom.
That's
It's
the
not on
people's
my
box.
screen, and I'm not sure why it's there. But
so to those of you on Zoom, we really can't see you very well. So if you have a question, please just speak up and ask Julian.
so these were the elements of the previous plan that I was just reflecting on. Guided by statute, estimates on total energy consumption, renewable generation targets, transportation targets, heating targets, pathways and recommendations. These were separated out into the various energy sector sections. So we had pathways and recommendations in the renewable generation, in the transportation and the heating target sections. A set of maps, and that rounded out the plan kind of as it was. It generally had sections that were separated out into energy sector and then attempted to incorporate the requirements of current use and in particular targets within those energy sector specific sections. An update on the process. So we began a development of the new plan in the winter of 2023 and 2024. As Cheryl alluded to, this was under the work of Madison, our previous energy planner. And they got together a really pretty good draft. This was on a confluence of new data becoming available on our generation as well as on our consumption in particular for the region. as well as the emergence of the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant as a funding source for the updating of your regional energy plan. We then moved into a review of the draft that was produced by Madison and the Energy Committee. The first draft of the plan was finished in the fall of 2024, and a review of the plan by the Energy Committee began soon after. I arrived in January of 2025, and at that point began to contribute to the first review of the draft by the Energy Committee. At which point, upon concluding our first read through, we kicked the draft back to myself for adopting the first round of revisions and edits. As Cheryl mentioned, there were several new recommendations that emerged during this period of revisions as well. And so it wasn't totally revisions. The Climate Pollution Reduction Grant, which funded the development of this plan, required the consideration of forest blocks, within particular the siting and renewable generation capacity for the region. Essentially, what the state has decided is that forest blocks are a key component of their climate change response due to their ability to sequester carbon. And because of that, they didn't want their renewable energy goals running into their forest conservation goals and have one sort of climate solution undermining the other, or vice versa. And so the task provided for in the CPRG grant was to do a spatial analysis of the prime siting locations for solar and wind within the county, to add a new mapping layer of habitat blocks to see if we still had enough land area that was a prime location for solar and wind in the county to meet our future renewable generation targets. And so that was just one element that came through in terms of the adoption of new requirements. I have since distributed a second draft of the plan to the Energy Committee, as well as Adam, to receive a second round of comments and revisions, and have started to receive some of those as well. And in a similar vein, for those who have the time and would like to, I would love to receive another round of comments from y'all as well upon distribution. And here we are. Now I'm talking to y'all and discussing these changes and the ongoing work. Cheryl, did I miss anything in terms of that kind of history of the plan development as I saw it?
No, one of the things that is new is the new map, you know, that incorporates the forest block. So we have just been adding more and more to it, but at the same time trying to streamline things, like the old plan described what climate change was. So we kind of all decided, we kind of know that now. So Julian has been great at editing out the things that needed to be there back in 2018, not so much now.
Right.
So, nope, you didn't miss anything too important.
Excellent. Moving on, our new plan, it's grounded in statute still, of course, the requirements that must be in there. However, we also began to include key energy thematic goals rather than being reliant on what must be in the plan. We wanted to think about, you know, what we're actually trying to solve. What is the energy problem here? What is the goal that we're working towards? And the three goals that primarily guide as higher level goals for the plan are energy justice. In particular, in our county, we focused on energy burden as a low income, low to moderate income burden on our energy use in the region in particular. We focused on climate change resilience as defined as both the prevention of climate change and the adaptation to climate change. The way I like to think about resilience is in this twofold strategy, in part because adaptation I view as somewhat like a seatbelt or an airbag in a car. It works really great if you're driving 20 miles an hour and then run into something, but if you're going 60, then it looks a lot different. And it's a similar situation, in my view, to climate change, in that if climate is changing more slowly and less significantly, then we will have to adapt less and our adaptations will be more successful. If climate change proceeds more rapidly and at a more extreme level, then our adaptation might be less effective or cost significantly more. And so therefore, I think that it includes both prevention and adaptation, and that a truly resilient, particularly energy system, is examining both sides of that phenomenon. Energy security also came through significantly. I think that many of us are aware of changes to the global energy markets that took place, in particular after the escalation of the Ukraine conflict, as well as due to supply chain interruptions during COVID. Included in the plan, I believe, is a graph that examines the price of two separate indexes for crude oil. And essentially the line is going up and all over the map, meaning that it is getting more expensive to use imported fuels. And also the price is extremely variable and difficult to plan by. And also potentially precludes actual scarcity, which is obviously a problem when energy drives our day-to-day life. And so energy security predominantly featured in the plan in the form of both demand reduction where possible, as well as generation expansion of domestically generatable resources, often in the form of distributed generation. These energy goals are present throughout the plan. In particular, they're defined and explored significantly in the introduction. They have other elements throughout the body, but then the other part where they reemerge significantly is in the recommendation section. This recommendation section is also somewhat different from the previous plan. So rather than having recommendations that are separated out by sector, we have a whole section in the plan that is just on the recommendations. And so you can work your way through a table that includes quite an extensive set of recommendations made for both regional as well as municipal actors. And we wanted to ensure that these recommendations actually did connect back to the goals of the overarching energy plan. And so in one of the columns of that table is a very brief description of how each recommendation connects back to either and often all of our three energy justice goals. And so it's just a helpful way of thinking that, is this something that we really want to be doing? Well, yes, because it speaks to this goal and in these ways. So. And if a recommendation didn't speak to any of our goals, well, kind of wonder why it's there. Thankfully, though, pretty much everything that we recommended was at least somewhat reasonably connectable to. I think there weren't any that were just one goal. I think most had at least two that they touched into. We made updates to the electricity, heating, and transportation goals, as well as maps. The primary difference in the way this is organized in the new plan as well is we have current use, we have infrastructure, and then we have the targets section. And so there's a sector-specific transportation, electricity, and heating in current use, in infrastructure, and in targets. And so those were sort of disaggregated by sector and grouped more into kind of where we are and where we're going, if you will. Of course, maps needed to be updated as well. And as Cheryl alluded to, several new maps that needed to be included were these prime solar and wind locations and how they relate to habitat blocks. We also have a new transmission line map included as well. And the updated solar map from GMP that explores head capacity in the distribution network in our region is also included in that mapping section. As I alluded to before, these are sort of our new sector-specific sections. So again, we have heating, electricity, and transportation use, heating, electricity, transportation infrastructure, and the same in the target sections as well. The infrastructure section really has quite a long form discussion of various types of energy infrastructure and how it might relate to the county's needs. I sort of gave myself a little bit of wiggle room to, really push. For example, there's a little bit of a call for additional research into transportation fuels for heavy duty and aircraft purposes. We have a few more solutions for light duty vehicles, of course, but these heavier duty vehicles are really going to be a challenge. And the county actually has a pretty significant use for those other vehicle spaces. And so there was some opportunity to signal that there is a need for additional research, not just deployment. And so that was, that's one instance, but that infrastructure section, I believe it's chapter 3 or section 3, is kind of an interesting little opportunity to play around with energy theory. As I alluded to before, the CPRG section that comes in at the tail end of the plan, but before the recommendation section is, I believe it is included as a subsection of the generation section in the plan, which made sense that this is essentially generation capacity for the county minus habitat blocks to see if the targets that the region has can still be met.
But I'm sorry, what is CPRG specifically?
That's the climate pollution reduction grant
Okay.
that funded the development of the new regional plan and the grant requirements that came along with it, which made updating the plan a bit tricky because then you're balancing between the requirements and the statutes that more people are familiar with. And then, wait a second, I thought I recalled something in the grant agreement that suggested that something more needed to be done, but I tried to be thorough. As I alluded to before, the recommendation section as well has been teased out and separated from the energy specific sectors to its own distinct section, so that if folks wanted to say, and what is being suggested by the plan? Well, what is being suggested by the plan can be found in section 4. So, and they do signpost as well back to municipal requirements. So there's a municipal planning guide form that has specific requirements, and in that recommendation section, it also signposts to those requirements to say essentially that they've been met. So, or again, the energy goals I wanted to think about, and Madison did as well. Some of these were present before, and I added to essentially, but we wanted to think about beyond just the statutory requirements of what's in the plan. What's guiding, what is the purpose. These are a little bit ahead of myself. Apologies. These are sort of the key new features that I was alluding to, but summarized. I just want to leave these up for a second because I thought that they were particularly nice places for folks to focus in on if and when they do their review. And there's particular distinct differences from the previous plan. I did want to just give a quick highlight of some of the progress that we made, because I think that that's kind of nice when it is there, and also is an important opportunity to, maybe hold our feet to the fire when it's not. But in terms of our electricity progress, we actually have made quite a bit of progress in terms of new renewable energy generation within the region. And so in 2015 and in 2020, we had estimates of our renewable energy generation that were roughly in the 130,000 megawatt hours annually range. But after updated energy analysis that was conducted by Madison using new generation from as of April 2024, we had gotten up to about 189,000 megawatt hours. So that's roughly 96, almost 97 actually % of our 2050 domestic renewable generation goal. I'm pretty sure that's correct, but I am also in the process of reaching out to the Public Services Department to verify that I'm using their generation calculator correctly.
Does that include hydro? Like the
Yes.
existing hydro
Yes.
in the county?
Yes,
Okay.
that does. It also, and there is some room for, it includes biomass, it includes farm methane as well. I know that these concepts are, and we debated them on the energy committee as well, but they're technically included within the renewable space and are consequently included in the in this data as well. But those two, the biomass and the farm methane, are actually still fairly small contributors to the renewable energy generation in the region, with hydro and solar obviously being the largest. A little bit of wind, but there could be more. I also wanted to note this generation potential, which I found to be very exciting. And again, if I'm doing the energy analysis correct, which I always hope I am, but I don't want to say it's for sure 100% correct, but we actually do have quite a bit of, in our prime generation sites for both solar and wind, new generation capacity. And so if we look at prime sites with no habitat blocks, we could get pretty close to 1 million megawatt hours of generation into the county using solar or wind alone. And so I think that this is a really excellent sign for the county. Many people are concerned about natural resource impacts of energy generation in our area. As a natural resources student myself, it's something that I deeply care about as well. But we do seem to have, at least in this one form, I believe it's 20 acres or greater is how they defined a forest block. But at least from that capacity, there seems to be a significant amount of land area in prime locations for both solar and wind development that does not touch habitat blocks and could still be used to meet the region's renewable energy generation goals and go far beyond. So I took that as a very good sign. Essentially, we can do it, and also not harm at least the sort of environment, that particular environmental consideration that is important to the region.
Sorry to keep asking questions. I think one part of the report, I was looking at it pretty closely yesterday, mentioned most of the wind sites being in Starksboro, Lincoln, Ripton, and Goshen, I believe. I'm not sure about Goshen, but definitely Starksboro, Lincoln.
That sounds about right, but I'd have to look at I don't have that on top of head, unfortunately.
Right. And I did see a map that was, showed the county as a whole, and it's quite blurry on my screen and a little hard to tell what was what.
Sure.
But we do have maps that show that very specifically.
Yes, we have maps as well as the data that Hannah was able to pull from that GIS spatial analysis. And if it's too blurry, though, that is something that we can work on and get, maybe it's dividing the county into 4 sort of quadrants and looking at that map more closely. And that would be pretty easy to do. So if that's something that would be helpful.
And some of the things you'd mentioned in the plan talked about interactive charts and graphs and so forth. And so I haven't checked those out yet, but
if there's
it's
a particular
important to highlight
absolutely,
as part of your presentation here.
Absolutely. And maybe this is an important element. I do still see the plan as in a draft phase. And I think the more eyes that we can put on it, obviously we've got a bunch of really smart people in this room, and I'm just one person looking at, 80+ pages of written material. So there's going to be things that I miss, of course, but also things that I'll want to accommodate if possible as well. I believe the next time, because we don't have a September meeting, an August meeting for the full commission, the next time that we could get together is September. And so there'll actually be a significant amount of time before our next chance to even discuss this, to, adopt another round of comments from y'all or the energy committee as well. And I look forward to it. This is kind of fun stuff to me. I don't know. But I do think, there's no perfect plan, of course, but there can always be better plans. And, again, the more folks you have looking at it, the better. But do please note where you had additional comments, and happy to look at them further.
Joel, sorry, Karina Toy from Middlebury here. Clarifying question, the 2050 domestic renewable generation goal, what goal are you referring to there?
That is, I believe, It is it is, so rather than renewable energy generation, it is the domestic energy generation, generated within the state and then disaggregated to the regional level. So it's not for the total generation or the 90% renewable. It's for, I believe it's not exactly 50%, but it comes out to around 50% of demand, electricity demand should come domestically. And that domestically initially in the state, but then disaggregated into regional and ultimately disaggregated to the municipal levels as well. So
Got it.
I think
So it's a
that's
Vermont goal that's been disaggregated, and you're saying for Addison County, 96.76% of the 2050 goal, we've actually already achieved potentially, once you get it verified.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Need to verify. I think I'm using the calculator right, but again, this is, I don't want to put, maybe this is just the academic in me. I don't want to say for sure it's anything until I know more, but I think I've used it right. And consequently, if so, we've actually made quite a bit of progress. Now, it varies municipality to municipality, which is where this data actually does get interesting as well, is that some municipalities are at or above their target, and some are, some have made significant progress, but because they have such large targets, they are still, below. Now, again, below what might be their 2050 target, but generally speaking, there has been kind of uniform progress in the region towards meeting, in particular, the renewable energy generation goals. Now, some of the other ones, a little bit less progress for, and perhaps, as we're looking for additional progress in the county, in particular in transportation and heating, I'm sure that's not really a surprise to y'all that those are harder sectors to reduce energy consumption as well as to reduce fossil fuel consumption for.
Got it. Yeah, this is great work. I guess my one request would be, if it's not already in the report, when you share the report across, can you also share the information on what you're calling the 2050 domestic renewable generation goal here? I just love to understand better how it's all divided up by county.
Yes, I will do. There's an Excel sheet that's a generator that was set up, I believe, by the Public Service Department. And so what I could do is maybe send you a copy of that so you can see kind of what that calculator looks like. And I think it includes some details for use in there as well. But I'd be happy to pass that along as well. It was a little complicated, and one of the cells that's really important was not automated initially, and so that had been giving me fits for a while, but I actually just cracked recently how to automate exactly the cell that I needed to, and now I've got new municipal targets ready for our upcoming municipal energy plans, which we've actually got a few coming up in the pipeline too, so that's kind of exciting as well.
Jeremy.
Going a little deeper into the same weed patch,
Sure.
What was the methodology of disaggregation by county? My immediate reaction is the goal is way too low if we're at 98% here. And Addison County has significantly more solar potential than many counties in the state. So if disaggregated by population, it's not so meaningful.
Yeah.
I'm reacting badly to that number.
Sure. It's disaggregated by, I believe it was the state set different targets for each region, and then it's disaggregated to the municipality based off of available land area and population as well. And so for municipalities, and then reaggregated up from the municipalities to the region. And so for the municipalities, you'll see a town like Middlebury, for example, which has a significantly larger target because it has more population than other cities or towns, rather, municipalities within the region. And a reminder that this isn't this is for domestic renewable generation, not total renewable electricity use, much of which is still, even in the state, even at the state's level, Rosie Picture, I believe they're still counting on it like close to 50% imports of renewable electricity from outside of the state. So this isn't just renewable electricity. but rather it's domestically generated renewable electricity targets.
Locally.
Yes, right. Yes, within region, right. Now, there, we can be aspirational. There's nothing wrong with setting a target that is beyond what is required of the region. I would say that where it might be more interesting is getting down into the municipal level and allowing them to, say this is sort of the threshold that we need to meet. Let's be aspirational here. And, for example, Middlebury hasn't had an enhanced energy plan yet, but they are one of the new municipalities that will be developing an enhanced energy plan over the next year and a half or so. And so they will have an excellent opportunity to be aspirational in their municipal energy plan. And so I think kind of the nice thing that the regional targets set is kind of a base level threshold that really must be met. And then it enables municipalities to say, well, we need to hit this, or well, we can hit this and let's hit more. And so I'd say that's where I'd see a bit more opportunity for the aspiration. But, again, and another thing that even the Public Service Department admits is that these targets are estimates, and they're based off of assumptions that are based off of other assumptions. And so it's like, it's a good idea to try to hit this, but the difference between 1,000 megawatt hours here, 1,000 megawatt, I mean, that's a lot of energy, don't get me wrong, but it's not precise, I would say. I'm going to move us along because I think I'm over where I wanted to be for the presentation, but essentially, just very quickly, in particular, I note the light duty vehicle because that's where a lot of our progress is supposed to take place now, is in the light duty vehicle category. And as of, I believe it's 2023, we're still using quite a bit more. And I should have clarified, that's 600,000 million BTU of gasoline, not electricity, because the electricity was so small by comparison that it really wasn't necessarily worth mentioning in this presentation. But essentially, in terms of gasoline, we're lagging there. And so transportation is going to be moving forward one of the energy sectors that both using what's in this plan as well as even thinking out into future iterations of this plan, and at the municipal levels as well, transportation is going to be one of the big X factors moving forward for our county's energy space. And heating.
And have we looked at the change over the last 20 years? I see a lot more trucks, particularly at the high school and other things. And I see not the same growth in the electric bill. Well, some in the electric vehicles, but you put 4 Duramax out there.
Yeah. And in part, it's EVs. I think we also need to be even more expansive about when we think about transportation, that it's not just getting in a vehicle. It's also encouraging additional public transportation, as well as supporting our pedestrian and walk bike councils as well. I think that, and I was actually just telling Adam about this the other day. I took an excellent bike ride from Burlington up to South Hero Island just the other day and around. And it was leisure travel, it was for going for a trip and getting some exercise, but I didn't drive there. And my God, it was feasible and I felt great afterward. And I think that those changes in even if it's just range anxiety of what we're capable of doing. I'm not like a super athlete here, I like to bike. And at any rate, I think that with transportation, it's going to be even thinking beyond the EVs to getting really creative about where we go and when and how. Heating, we are making some progress in heating, but we are also experiencing some complications. And so electricity usage for heating has gone up significantly, but it's still only 6% of the residential heating share. So it's growing, but needs to grow a lot more. With fuel oil and kerosene, it's good, that's been heading in the right direction. Propane, though, has increased at the same time. Utility gas has gone up a ton, but it also has a smaller carbon footprint than the propane and the fuel oil. So it's somewhat complicated in that it has reduced greenhouse gas production from heating in its increase, but it also does still produce greenhouse gases when used. And so many view natural gas as an intermediate term fuel. And obviously, this region has adopted that perspective. Over time, and again, we're talking 2035, 2050, we'd likely like to see that utility gas usage plateau or decrease over time even. But in the short term, it is going up, and it is also somewhat having a positive impact. I see it as something that we should keep our eye on and be thoughtful about. As we noted, energy burden as an important component of energy justice. Natural gas has technically been cheaper, and that is good for energy consumers, even if it is complicated when it comes to its climate impact. Wood use has also decreased. Some wood harvesting is unsustainable. Some old wood stoves are quite polluting when it comes to air quality. I and the Energy Committee takes a favorable approach to more sustainable wood use in the form of advanced heating stoves, wood pellet stove adoption, as well as attempting to develop more of a regional forest economy. So that's why I consider the wood to be somewhat complicated. It's going down. Maybe some of the more harmful wood-based processes are going away, but ultimately adopting sustainable forestry practices, I think will be prudent for the region as well. And that's included within the plan, that recommendation. Particular areas of concern and barriers that get noted within the plan is that we have a very tight distribution network within the region. And I believe it's maybe Middlebury is the only municipality where there's still, and it's really in the downtown area, space to expand renewable distributed generation. But in much of the rest of the county, we're sitting at near 90% capacity of what the distribution network can take. And so if we want to add renewable generation, which we do, then we're going to have to get GMP to address. And I don't want to necessarily call it a problem per se, an area of concern and a barrier. I think GMP is open to finding creative solutions to this, and that's based off conversations that I've had with them. And so, so I don't want to call it a problem, but I do think it's a barrier and something that that we'll need to solve. Some solutions that are explored. Obviously, we can install new distribution capacity. I'm very interested in the adoption of storage, though, as an opportunity to address this issue for two reasons. We don't have very much storage right now, and it's important for balancing the intermittency and making our grid more resilient in that regard. One, and two, when we're thinking about the production tax credit, which is sunsetting for most of the energy investments that we would make, it's actually not going away for battery storage. And so perhaps now is the time to be adaptive about the types of energy infrastructure that we're making investments in. If the production tax credit remains for storage, then maybe we should be investing in storage.
Are you talking about current federal policy?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is very much a moving target right now.
Right. And what we know about the, at least in the energy space, what we know about the production tax credit, it has been one of the most important driving factors for renewable energy deployment in this country. There's like a new deployment graph that they release every so often when the PTC is set to expire that demonstrates that new generation being deployed just tanks when the PTC goes away. And when it returns, it increases substantially. But recently, Lazards released a new levelized cost of electricity report, which attempted to look at utility scale renewable generation plus storage, and even before incorporating a modest social cost of carbon. Renewables, particularly utility scale, solar and wind, are increasingly cost competitive with conventional natural gas in terms of the long run cost of that electricity. And so one idea that I've pitched to Adam actually is that when we're thinking about renewables development, we really need to be thinking about storage ready renewables, and kind of treat it as a no regrets decision, that maybe we don't want to lock in an immature storage technology now, but we also don't want to keep a renewable development from adopting storage in the future when it does become appropriate. And so storage ready is sort of the way I'm pitching it, but I think that we've got to start thinking about the storage problem more. And also noting, again, when public policy shifts, this has a significant impact on the public energy space. And so, as I mentioned before, shifting focus on what we're looking at, thinking more about storage and less about generation, revisiting existing public funding sources like the bond bank for funding, and also being honest that we'll need to develop new sources of public funding, perhaps domestically within the state, and re-exploring things like the cap and invest strategy. And then turning to the nonprofit space, although they're increasingly being stretched thin as well. But we'll have to be adaptive because much of the energy strategies that were taking place, for example, getting more homes to adopt heat pumps, getting more homes to weatherize, particularly for our low and moderate income communities, if these federal subsidies go away, and they are slated to do so, how do we pay for it? If we don't want progress to totally stop, and so we'll have to get creative. Our next steps. So I would like to distribute a copy of this plan to y'all. Of course, my target to do so is this Friday, because I'll also be distributing a draft to the rest of the office and to the Addison Independent, because they wanted to start looking at the draft. And it is still a draft, which is what I've emphasized to them as well, but folks are getting interested. And so that is the intent, is to get that draft distributed to y'all this upcoming Friday. I need and would like to receive comments from y'all. If comments could be rendered this month, that would be great. If it's sometime into August, like that's fine too, but I would like to have addressed most of what y'all are thinking before our next meeting, because then I can report on it. If it's by late this month or early next month, I think that would be very helpful. Then I will incorporate those revisions and edits and look to distribute a revised draft in advance of our September meeting. And then, Adam, you had some notes about what happens next. Would you like to share briefly?
Yeah, so we've got a lot of pieces of the plan to get done. We've done the transportation plan. We're working on the future land use plan. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. Getting the energy piece done is a big piece for us. But we've got to get the whole thing done by December of this year, at least in a draft form. I want to bring it to the Land Use Review Board. So the newly formed Land Use Review Board needs to approve all regional plans. If we get it to them in December, they have 2 months to review it. Basically, that gets us through February anyway. Take their comments, revise our plan accordingly, go to our own hearings. So people still have more opportunities to comment. We will hold 2 hearings in the spring, and then I would like to adopt it by June of next year. Our current plan expires July 2026. So with those hearings, that's kind of the timeline that we all need to hit.
At this point, I'm well past the time that was allotted to me, and I'd like to be respectful of y'all's schedules. If there's anything that really needs to be addressed in this particular moment, I can respond to it, but perhaps if you do have questions or additional comments sending them an email form or finding me here or giving me a call, of course, is acceptable as well. But again, like I said, still very much a draft version of the plan. Would love to have as many eyes looking at it and as many perspectives rendered as possible. So if folks could take some time and help me out with that, I'd certainly very much appreciate it.
Here we go.
Great, thank you.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Very informative, thank you.
And I will stop sharing now and get out of y'all's hair.
Nice,
Oh,
thank you
nope.
very much. Great.
Yeah, thank
Super, thank you.
Thanks, my pleasure. And I'm gonna leave this meeting, Adam, you are in it, correct, still?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, then moving on to our business agenda. In your packet were the minutes from the June 11th meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion, Steve Rebel, motion to accept.
Thank you,
Second.
Steve. Who was second?
Steve Pilcher.
Sure, thank you. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye or giving a hands up.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain because I wasn't here.
And Deborah Sprague.
Okay, and Ron,
Ron. And Harvey.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is executive board minutes. They are also in your pack. We do not have to act on those. They are there for your information. If you have any questions or concerns, please let a member of the executive board or Adam know, and we'll happily communicate with you about that. Next up is the treasurer's report. Turn that over to Adam.
Great. It's gonna be quick because I do not have a treasurer's report for you this evening. Let's see. I do want to discuss it, but I think I'll do it under transitions, under old business below. So we're a little behind during our transition, but we're making payroll, we're sending out invoices, we're paying bills, we have money in the bank. So I'll talk about it in our transitions, but we'll be catching up soon.
Okay, great. See, we're catching up with Jolene. Committee reports. We'll only report on those that met. Act 250.
I have seen nothing in front of me to think about or to have a meeting about. So there's no report.
Thank you, Steve. Energy.
Well, I think you know what we were working on. We were working on that, the enhanced energy plan, updating, hearing about updates for energy grants, how to incorporate those, and the energy fair that is going to be on September 6th, and the progress on that, which is going to be September 6th in the Virgins Park. But it's being sponsored by Regional, and it's incorporating Virgins and Bristol and Harrisburg. So progress and updates on those things.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Mhm.
Local government had a public hearing last Monday, June 30th in New Haven, and we'll get into the details of that later on in the meeting. Natural resources.
I don't think, I know we have a meeting in July. I don't think it's happened yet.
It's
If
next
it
week.
did, it's next week. Thank you.
Thanks,
Or we
Arabella.
will continue progress on the natural resources section of the regional plan.
TAC. Did you attend you?
No.
Okay, neither did I. Give you a quick recap of that. The TAC met. Carolyn Coda, a bridge engineer from V-Trans, presented the town highway bridge program, and Mike announced that the TAC grants for this year were available for towns to apply to. Housing did not meet. Economic development.
I don't know if Joy is on, but I can provide an update. Did not meet recently, but we will be convening that committee likely in early August to review a draft of the economy section of the regional plan. So we will report back then.
Super, thank you, Alex. Joint partners.
That would be Alex as well, if he has anything else he wants to say.
Not much from ACDC other than
Oh.
report we're hard at work on
Yeah.
that.
Just wanted to make sure you got my text.
Yeah.
Steve, Ravel, can you
Uh,
mute yourself, please?
Yeah, mom's magnesium level's just real low, so.
did she call you?
No, I got the my chart result.
I know, I've seen all that. I'm in a meeting right now.
Okay,
I have it all.
gotcha.
Okay, thanks. Alex, did you have anything more? Okay. Delegate and staff recognition, anything there, Adam?
No, we already did that portion.
Well, we welcome new delegates, but I didn't know if you had anything for staff that you wanted to talk about, other than where we go to staffing update in old business.
Let's do it there.
Okay, then we will move on to old business. Maple Broadband, I don't see Steve Huffaker on. Let's see, we're hovering close to 600 new subscribers. There is a new BEAD, or a revised BEAD, which is broadband equity. I'm always going to get this wrong. Broadband equity, and I forget what the A is. Anyway, it's a grant program that had been put on hold earlier in the year. It has now been revised. Maple Broadband has put in their application and we're waiting to hear. In the meantime, we are also making plans for new construction beyond BEAD funded construction. And then back over to you for Act 181 outreach.
Okay, let's see. Staff continues to go out and meet with all your planning commissions. Our goal was to meet with every town by July 30th. We have one left. I still need to go to Bristol and I'll do that next week. Otherwise, we've met with each of your towns at least once. Some of them we've met with 2 or 3 times, basically presented our draft future land use map, and it will stay a draft for a considerable amount of time to each of your planning commissions. And any other members of the public that chose to attend those meetings. I would tell you generally that work is going pretty well. We've gotten a lot of good local feedback, local input from your planning commissions and members of the public in revising those maps. Again, those maps are intended, they're jurisdictional maps for Act 250. They're intended to expand housing opportunities within village areas, which we are expanding in most communities, by basically not requiring housing development less than 50 units to go through the Act 250 process. Most of the other, on our maps, all of the other areas are currently tier 2. Act 250 jurisdiction remains the same. The Land Use Review Board is creating a tier 3 map, which is areas where Act 250 jurisdiction may contract. It may require more people. The jurisdiction may require more people to go through Act 250. Those areas have not been created yet. They're not really on our maps. I am on the committee that is helping create that. There are a lot of people on the committee helping create that. I expect that jurisdiction and that crystal balling it a little bit. It doesn't exist yet, but I expect that it will, they will be looking at rare, threatened and endangered species as one area that they may expand Act 250 jurisdiction, and habitat corridors of statewide significance. And I do not really know how they will define that by species or how they will map that yet. So there's a long way to go with the Land Use Review Board's Tier 3 jurisdiction. Let's see. Hannah is going to knit basically all of the town maps that we have created. She will knit them into a regional map. We will be releasing that and housing targets by about July 20th. And then we will start basically our second round of outreach to community members. We'll go out to farmers markets. We still will be interacting with your planning commission, so they can tweak the map even though we've created a regional map. Again, our goal is to have the map largely complete and have our outreach with it done by September. Again, shooting for presenting the entire plan to the Land Use Review Board by December.
Great. Thank you.
Jeremy.
Any questions? Yeah.
Having attended your presentation to Ripton, your 181 presentation to Ripton last evening, my takeaway was that towns are faced with an incredibly brief window to comment on the mapping, and I wonder if there's any way that can be expanded. For instance, Ripton is in the process of revising their land use and zoning bylaws this year, and would have one meeting in which to come up with a response to the draft plan, which was presented to them last night, before that plan essentially, per your discussion, needs to be finalized at the regional level.
Well, I would like it, I said I'd like to have the draft done by September, end of September. We have until December to present it, so we have some extra time to look at it. But if I told everybody December, Jeremy, I never make it.
Yes, we know. We know how
So
that
there's some way, I've left some wiggle room in there for us, but there are 21 different towns that we're presenting it to, and sometimes a little urgency helps people meet some deadlines.
Understood. Thank you.
Adam, are we gonna have a presence at all at Field Days? I was just thinking that might be a really cool,
We are.
display and presentation, and potentially get some off the cuff feedback on it.
Yeah, so we're going to go out to some of the farmers markets, and we will be going out to Field Days at least one, maybe 2 afternoons. We will be sharing the booth space with our emergency management committee.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Question, Starksboro, as you know, was interested in revising the map that you gave them quite substantially, and I'm wondering how you will, when you talk about knitting together this map into the region, would that include their suggested revisions, or stick with what you've got, or
No,
some
it
sort
would
of
include,
compromise?
your suggested revisions. So
Okay.
I have given those to Hannah, who does our GIS work. She hasn't gotten it back to me, but it's part of the revisions that are going to be done prior to the 20th.
Okay, great. I just wanted to know how defensive I needed to be about.
Any other questions, concerns on this item? Okay, Staffing update, IT update, and transitions.
Okay, so we have a lot going on. Some of you know April Clujo, our office manager, left in May, and we are missing her. But we are transitioning as well. So Rebecca Elder, who we hired in January, as a planner, has really stepped up to help us with finance. So right now she's kind of filling in that role. We've also hired Carrie Danshaw to do QuickBooks. Carrie has about 8 years experience basically doing accounts payable and receivable over a co-op, and is also the town treasurer for the town of Salisbury. So has some good experience in municipal work. So she's with us 24 hours a week, basically doing QuickBooks. We've temporarily hired Sharon Stearns, who's a CPA out of Brandon, to provide basically just high level, so 4 or 5 hours a week, hopefully, but some high level guidance if Rebecca needs it for the QuickBooks help. And we have chosen to retain Steve Veroff, who's been our auditor for the last couple of years. Basically, this year with so much transition going on, we want to have someone familiar with our books and our processes there to look at them and help if we need it as we transition. So my plan will be to basically stay this way for about a month, see how much Carrie has the ability to do, and then start to transition Rebecca back into planning and make one more hire on the administrative bookkeeping level. So for sometime this fall. So I am hoping to have this back in shipshape this fall. So thank you for your patience, because in addition to this, prior to April leaving, we made the decision that we needed to upgrade our IT. And I probably wouldn't have made that decision had I known she was not going to be here, but I didn't have that foresight. So we are currently updating all of our IT systems. We'd pasted them together over a number of years, and decided that given the cybersecurity threats out there and our increasing data needs, we needed to really put some time, money into the system. We are converting back to a Microsoft system. They have tech support and are the most robust from a cybersecurity standpoint. We've hired the tech group out of South Burlington for support. We've basically installed our firewall. We have installed new backup systems for accounting and GIS. We've cut over our email today, and we'll be transitioning basically back with a bunch of other systems over the next month or so. So a lot going on in IT. So if I don't answer your email right away, I may not have gotten it yet, although it's back to the future for me. I used Microsoft for a long time and then switched to Google. So a lot of changes, but there'll be good changes for us overall. It's just a lot right now.
Questions, comments?
I have a question on, I know the financials have been like difficult to, wrap your head around just to give us reports. But are you thinking that we're gonna wait until September and then play catch up? Or would you send out a financial statement sometime between now and then so that we can just kind of keep abreast?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we're catching up now. We're already catching up. So you'll get financial statements prior to that, especially the executive board. They may not be as up to date as I like to have you a month out. Right now we're 3 months out. So I don't like it either, because honestly, I fly blind a little bit. I do know we have plenty of money in the bank as reserves. I also know we're doing the billing, and paying all the bills. So it's a matter of basically making sure those are all done so I can present you with accurate reports. So I expect you on the executive board will have another report for by August.
We don't meet in August, do we?
Yes,
The executive board does.
The board does.
The board does.
The
Gotcha,
full
okay.
commission does not.
correct.
Oh, no, no.
No vacation, no
No
rest for
rest.
the wicked.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Any other old business?
Hey, this is Steve Ravel. I just want, after all of that dialogue, I just want our membership on this committee to be fully advised of what is going on and what decisions we need to make now and in the future. I'm so supportive of this, and I'm so happy to see in this last report the addition of several other people from Lincoln who are interested in the regional planning process. So I'm very happy tonight, but I want to have the membership, the commission, to understand exactly what you have just talked about for the last 30 minutes. Thank you. Thank you.
What would you like me to clarify, Steve?
I just want it to be summarized in very clear minutes. Okay?
Oh, sure. Yes, we're recording the meeting.
Just like you always do. But we've been through a program that has not necessarily gotten us to where we are right now. Okay? So let's move forward and be positive, and let's make sure the membership, the commission, knows what path we are taking in this regard. Okay? I'm happy. You know me, I've been on this commission a very long time, and I oftentimes will tell you what I think. And right now might be one of those times.
Thank you, Steve. Any other old business?
I do not have any for you, Shannon.
Okay, moving on to new business, request for committee assignments.
So in your package, basically is a request for a committee assignment. Thank you to those of you that have filled it out. To those of you who have not yet, we, the Regional Planning Commission, do a lot of our business in committee. We ask every member of the Regional Planning Commission to serve on at least one committee. You're welcome to serve on more than one if you would like to. The package contains basically a brief description of what each committee does, and then an ability for you all to select the committee that you want to be on and send it back to me. If you just want to shoot me an email and say, hey, Adam, I want to be on the blank committee, that's fine too. I will aggregate those. I will bring those to the executive board at their August meeting. So you have a little time to respond. If you could respond by August 20th, that would be great. At the executive board meeting at the end of August, they will basically look at all the requests for committee assignments. They will do their best to give everybody a committee that they would like. They try to allocate it so that all the committees have a functional number of members, that things are spread out equitably amongst the region. So north, south, east, west, etc. And try and create good or best functioning committees that we can, so we can move forward. We will announce those committees at the September meeting. So new committee assignments start in September. Between now and then, we still have a lot of business to do. So we'd ask if you are on a committee to stay on that committee while the new committee membership is pending.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
The energy committee is really fun. We lost a couple people, so we could use a couple people.
Look, local government always
No.
could use people.
No.
Speaking of local government, as I mentioned earlier, the local government committee held a public hearing in New Haven on last Monday, June 30th. we reviewed their plan and their planning process. There were 4 relatively minor deficiencies, I would say. Inclusion of a future land use map, clearly identifying the forest block map in place of the habitat map, the inclusion of an implementation plan, and the inclusion of a statement of compatibility with neighboring towns and the regional plan. However, at the end of the public hearing, the local government committee deliberated, and we moved to recommend adoption of the New Haven Municipal Development Plan conditional on New Haven successfully resolving the incomplete plan elements by town meeting day of next year, and to confirm New Haven's planning process to the full ACRPC, if I can talk. And I would actually put that forward as a motion.
Second.
Thank you, Steve Pilcher. Any discussion?
As long as that, and the motion would be with those conditions.
That's correct.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So just for clarification, so the deficiencies that need to be edited or added to the plan, now that that town has already adopted that plan, what is the process for them? They have to reopen up the plan and adopt a new plan on town meeting day?
Correct. And because the town of New Haven has their plan adopted through voter municipal voting, unless they wanted to call a special election, which would be costly, the next available, and this is an off year for November elections.
Oh, right.
It really pushes things out. And so that was an important consideration of the local government committee when we made that recommendation. But that's a very good question, Sharon.
Yeah, and if they don't succeed, then we
can rescind it.
We don't.
Yeah.
Okay, we rescind our approval that was given them kind of temporarily.
Exactly. But this allows them to still qualify for municipal planning grants, things of that nature.
Cool. Good compromise.
What are they missing?
Just some relatively technical items that are state requirements, that if they could, have their select board go through a couple of public hearings and then readopt it, it would work, but their charter doesn't allow them to do that. It has to go to a public vote. So we're we're recommending that we accept it, knowing that they need to make these changes, and we'll be watching to make sure that those changes are made. But other than that, it's a really good plan. It's concise, it's easy to read, it's fairly complete in all other aspects, except for these stupid little hurdles that they have to jump through, that we all have to jump through. So, any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, and I'll read it again. All in favor to recommend to regionally adopt the New Haven municipal plan, conditional on New Haven successfully resolving the incomplete plan elements by town meeting day of 2026, and to confirm New Haven's planning process. Indicate by saying aye or giving a thumbs up.
There we go.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? There we go. Thank you very much. Back to you, Adam, on proposed calendar of meetings.
Great. Thanks, Shannon. So in your package is also our proposed meeting calendar for next year. You'll note there, or this year, excuse me. You'll note most importantly, there is no meeting in August. You get that off for the summer. We start again in September. Basically, we meet on the second Wednesday of every month, other than August, at 7 p.m. You all have a paper calendar to in the package to show you that. Assuming you approve that paper calendar and we set it for the year, I will send out calendar links to all of you as well.
So you're looking for a motion to approve that calendar.
Yes.
I would entertain that motion.
Yeah, motion to
Second.
accept Beaverville.
Steve Ravel.
Second, Joe
moved,
Andriano.
Nick Costin beat you, and for a second,
Oh.
any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye or giving a hands up, thumbs up.
Aye.
There we go.
Any abstentions? Okay, Adam, the calendar is approved. Any other new business?
I do not have any for you.
Okay, any member concerns or information that anybody would like to share?
What was this thing under new business about Starksboro FEMA buyout applications? Did
Sure.
you already speak to that?
No, I didn't. I presented that to the executive board. So what Tom is looking at is the Addison County Regional Planning Commission with the town of Starksboro have put in for about $2 million worth of basically home buyouts and riverine improvements on the Lewis Creek in the town of Starksboro. So where the 23 and 24 floods really impacted the town of Starksboro, we are working with, I believe it's 7 different homeowners in the town of Starksboro. Basically it's to relocate their homes out of the floodplain and then restore the floodplain and the river's functions.
Great.
Ed,
I noticed I had a computer glitch in the last meeting, but I did notice it seemed to me like a distinct dissatisfaction with the trucks. And I know, and they were talking about all the towns down 22A. Well, we're just blink towns. The trucks roll through. There's no problem, mostly rural. I think that the 107 million that they're talking about for bypass for gens should be spent on 22A and let the town of Virgins live with the truck traffic that going through. They were originally a commercial play, a commercial town because of the water power, and now they want to be special. That's
I move to adjourn.
thank you, Ed, duly noted. Any other member concerns? Hearing none, yes, we will adjourn by unanimous consent at 8:24 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
You bet.
Hold on, Shannon.
Pull that thing out. So I can see my screen.